movie opens with a young girl named Annie sleeping peacefully in her bedroom. Suddenly, her closet door creaks open. A deep voice calls out her name. Annie thinks it is her father, but then a loud growl fills the room, making her cry. As Annie screams, the creature moves closer and blood splatters across a nearby family photograph, showing that Annie has been killed. The scene changes to a new house and a new family. William Harper is a psychiatrist who works from home. He has 2 kids, a teenager named Sadie and a little girl named Sawyer. And they are all sad because William's wife recently died in a car accident. Sadie wears her late mother's dress to school to keep her memory close. Before dropping them off, William notices the dress and tells Sadie she looks nice. At school, Sadie meets her friend Bethany, who welcomes her back warmly. Sadie thanks her because everyone else is giving her the cold shoulder. Then, a girl named Natalie and her friends come over. Natalie tells Sadie that wearing her mother's dress is a bad idea and makes fun of her. Sadie calls Natalie a bitch, so Natalie shoves her. Food spills all over the dress, and a visibly upset Sadie leaves school. In the next scene, a distressed man named Lester Billings arrives at William's home office. William initially says he needs an appointment first, but Lester begs for help. Feeling bad, William invites him in since he has a free hour. As Lester sits down, he looks at a closet and asks William to shut the door. William closes it. After Lester fills out the client's form and sets up a recorder, saying that everything Lester says is confidential. Lester then reveals that he lost 3 of his children, one right after the other, under very mysterious circumstances. William asks if the deaths were from natural causes. Lester states there was nothing natural about it and believes something drained the life out of them. He says he only saw it once, right before his youngest child, Annie, suffered a broken neck. Lester admits he used to think it was just his kid's imagination. He then hands William a drawing of the mysterious entity made by his oldest child. William is shocked by the picture. Lester describes the creature as something that targets children when parents are not paying attention. Feeling uneasy, William tells Lester he needs to use the restroom and steps out. Once outside, William calls the police and reports that a dangerous man is in his office. He does not notice Lester walking upstairs. Meanwhile, Sadie comes home to change. She throws her mom's dirty dress into the washing machine, unaware that Lester is watching her. Walking to her room, Sadie hears a strange noise. She goes to look and steps in something wet and red. To her relief, it is just spilled paint in her late mother's art studio. When Sadie enters the studio, she finds the room in a mess. Her family's painting is ruined on the floor. As she bends down, she hears muffled thumps coming from a nearby closet. She steps inside the closet but finds it empty. William walks in and asks if she is okay. Suddenly, they are shocked to see Lester's dead body hanging from the closet door. Later, the police arrive. William tells them Lester believed a shadow monster killed his children. The detective suggests Lester hung himself due to heavy guilt. Sadie doubts this and notes she heard fighting noises inside the closet before opening it. The detective replies that a grown man hanging himself would naturally make a lot of noise. Later that night, William puts Sawyer to bed. Sawyer always makes her dad check under the bed and in the closet for monsters. At the same time, Sadie sees strange mold growing around the house. Later, as Sawyer tries to sleep, her closet door violently slams open. She sees something run under her bed. When she looks under the bed, a creature growls at her, causing her to fall out of bed in fear. Terrified, Sawyer runs to Sadie's room and says something is in her bedroom. Sadie thinks it is just a bad dream. She notices Sawyer has a loose tooth that is bleeding and offers to pull it out with a string tied to the door. Sadie says she will count to 3, but the door slams shut by itself on 2. The tooth pops out. Sadie is shocked because she did not push the door, but she hugs her crying sister. Sadie puts Sawyer to bed and sings a song to help her sleep. After they both fall asleep, the same song plays from the closet and something secretly takes Sawyer's tooth. The next day, the kids visit a therapist named Dr. Weller to deal with their grief. Dr. Weller wants to help young Sawyer stop being afraid of the dark. To do this, she brings out a red light device. She explains that the light will slowly blink and gradually fade into complete darkness to prove to Sawyer that there is nothing to fear. However, as the light blinks on and off, Sawyer gets terrified. She looks up and is horrified to see the mysterious creature crawling on the ceiling. When the lights finally turn back on, Dr. Weller tries to comfort her, claiming it was just her imagination. During William's own session, Dr. Weller suggests they do a joint family therapy session. William refuses. He does not want to think about the monster story or his wife's death. Later, William apologizes to his family, saying he is deeply sorry that he ever let Lester into their home. That night, Sawyer hears her bedroom door open. She hears Sadie's voice telling her that the monster is just in her head. But when Sawyer peeks out from under her blanket, the room is empty and the closet door is open. Suddenly, someone knocks on her bedroom door. Meanwhile, Sadie goes into her father's office to look into Lester's background. She finds the form Lester filled out and the audio recording of his session with William. On the tape, after William leaves for the restroom, Sadie hears Lester screaming at something to get away from him. Sadie then finds Lester's notepad hidden under the sofa. She remembers from the recording that Lester's child drew the creature in this pad, but the page was torn out. Since the pencil lines left marks on the next page, Sadie rubs a pencil over it to reveal the drawing. She is shocked to see a scary monster with very long limbs. Back in the hallway, Sawyer checks outside her room. As Sawyer walks through the dark, she hears a voice singing her lullaby. It sounds like Sadie, but much deeper and darker. Sawyer rolls her light-up ball down the dark hallway. The ball rolls back to her, broken, and the monster appears right behind her. In the kitchen, Sadie sees a dark figure hiding in the dark. When Sadie opens the fridge door, the figure vanishes. Sawyer runs into the kitchen and blames Sadie for trying to scare her. But when Sawyer looks down and sees the monster sketch on the notepad, she gets terrified and says that is the exact dark thing she has been seeing. The next day at school, Sadie asks her friend Bethany for a ride to Lester's house. When they get there, the house looks abandoned. Sadie goes inside anyway. Since no one is home, she leaves her phone number on the fridge in case someone comes back. As Sadie walks away, she sees a light blinking inside the house and goes back to check it out. Inside, she finds the walls covered in the same strange mold she saw at her own house. Following a trail of candles upstairs, Sadie looks at some photos on the wall. Suddenly, Lester's wife, Rita, appears behind her. Sadie explains that Lester visited her dad's office. She shows Rita the drawing of the creature and asks about it. Rita warns Sadie to pray she never meets it, but Sadie reveals that her little sister has already seen it. Rita then explains that this creature targets children, and her children call it the Boogeyman. She says the Boogeyman likes to play with its victims, follows them anywhere, and can copy human voices. She also notes that the creature needs total darkness to hide. Suddenly, Rita warns Sadie not to move because the monster is right behind her. Rita fires her rifle at it, and a terrified Sadie runs out of the house. When Sadie gets back home, she ignores her sister Sawyer and rushes straight to her bedroom. Suddenly, the Boogeyman breaks through her door and shoves its arm into her mouth. Sadie wakes up gasping. It was just a nightmare. She hears real noises in the house and steps out to investigate. She checks her mother's room, but it is empty. Just then, her father, William, walks out holding a box of her late mother's things. William tells Sadie to keep what she wants and take the rest down to the basement. Sadie carries the box downstairs. While looking through the old items, she finds her mom's lighter and a video camera playing a tape of her mom singing to her as a baby. Hoping to connect with her mother's spirit, Sadie flicks the lighter in the dark. Suddenly, she hears her mother's voice. Sadie walks toward the sound and sees her mom standing in the darkness. But the moment Sadie turns on the light, her mother vanishes. The following day, Bethany suggests that she and her friends hang out at Sadie's house to help cheer her up, which Sadie agrees. Later the night, the girls comes to Sadie's house. They soon get bored, so Sadie shows them a box of weed she found among her late mother's things, which they all use. When Sadie smokes the weed, Sadie starts coughing uncontrollably. During the coughing fit, Sadie pulls a string out of her own mouth and is shocked to see it is the exact same string she used to pull Sawyer's tooth. Bethany tries to help. Natalie makes things worse by recording the whole thing on a camera. Natalie then demands to see the closet where Lester hung himself. Sadie leads her friends to the closet, and suddenly, Natalie shoves Sadie inside and locks the door. Inside the pitch-black closet, the Boogeyman appears and inches closer to Sadie. Terrified, Sadie fights the door open. Her friends ask if she is okay, but Natalie mocks her, saying she is dramatic. Frustrated, Sadie slaps Natalie. Bethany insists they tried to unlock the door, but it was stuck. Furious, the girls storm out of the house and tell William that his daughter is psychotic. Afterwards, Sawyer is playing a game when she spots the Boogeyman nearby. Scared, she tries to hide. The Boogeyman walks up to the couch to look for her, then finally leaves. Thinking she is safe, Sawyer gets up and sits on the couch. Suddenly, the Boogeyman throws her violently against the TV. Next, Sawyer wakes up in the hospital. Sadie is by her side, comforting her, and reveals she finally believes Sawyer's claims about the monster. Later, Sadie gets a phone call from Lester's wife, Rita. Rita tells Sadie she found a way to kill the Boogeyman and asks Sadie to come to her house. Before leaving, Sadie tells her father that she saw the monster in the closet. However, William smells weed on her and asks if she is high. Frustrated because her dad never listens to her, Sadie storms out to visit Rita. Once Sadie arrives, Rita tells Sadie that she set up spring-loaded guns in the room. When Sadie asks if they can actually kill it, Rita suddenly attacks her, tying her up to use her as bait to lure the boogeyman out. And then she turns off the lights. As expected, the boogeyman appears. When the monster moves to attack, it trips a rope connected to the loaded guns, which fires and knocks the creature down. Rita checks on the fallen monster and shoots it again, yelling that she told her it could be killed. Suddenly, the boogeyman attacks, ripping Rita in half. Sadie runs away with the boogeyman chasing her. Luckily, she finds a light and shines it at the monster, which forces it to leave. Sadie escapes the house and gets a phone call from William, who tells her that he and Sawyer have just returned to their own home. Sadie urgently screams at him to get back into the car and drive to a bright place with lots of people. Suddenly, the boogeyman grabs William and Sawyer. Hearing their screams, Sadie rushes back to her house. Once she gets home, Sadie finds Sawyer with a rope light wrapped around her body. Sawyer tells her that the boogeyman took their father down to the basement. Sadie heads down to the basement to save William, and Sawyer refuses to stay alone upstairs and follows her. They find the boogeyman holding their father. The monster drops William, jumps at them, and vanishes into the dark. The boogeyman attacks again, knocking Sawyer unconscious. He then pounces on Sadie, opening his mouth to drain her life away. William manages to get up and intervenes to save Sadie. The boogeyman throws him aside, and as Sawyer rushes to help her dad, the Christmas lights get unplugged. William lights up his wife's lighter, and his daughter reaches toward him. The boogeyman reappears right in front of them as they try to escape. Just as he lunges, Sawyer blasts him with hairspray, causing the creature to retreat. Sadie tries to burn the monster, but the hairspray runs out. Thinking fast, Sawyer soaks the boogeyman with lighter fluid, and Sadie throws the lighter at him. The boogeyman catches fire and burns to ashes. Fire quickly spreads through the basement. Sadie catches a final glimpse of her mother's dress before the family flees the burning house. Afterward, William finally decides to seek help from Dr. Weller alongside his daughters. He agrees to open up about his wife's death so they can heal together. As they prepare to leave the therapy office, Sadie hears Dr. Weller calling her back inside. When Sadie returns to the room, Dr. Weller is not there. Instead, she hears a strange sound as a dark closet door starts to creak open. Sadie cautiously approaches the door. Before she can look inside, Dr. Weller walks back into the room and asks if she needs something. Without a word, Sadie closes the door, leaving the trauma and grief behind, and the movie ends. And that wraps up The Boogeyman. If you enjoyed this recap, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and hit the bell for more chilling movie stories. Until next time, stay curious and stay safe.